The knock came before I opened the door, soft, like someone riffling through my mail. I froze, heart thudding, then heard Karen's high voice outside. "Ben, open up! Your neighbor says you've got their packages!" I didn't move. "Not opening for you," I called, keeping my voice calm. She laughed, low and sharp. "Cute! You think locking a gate makes you safe? I'll just grab what I need." I heard the mailbox flap, then silence. I stayed still until her heels clicked away, then I walked out slow and picked up the mailbox flag. A single envelope stuck to the lip, edges chewed like a mouse had tasted it. My skin went cold. She'd been taking my checks, the catalog for my daughter's birthday, letters from the VA caseworker, things you don't steal from a person lightly. I didn't shout. I just smiled and said under my breath, "You picked the wrong mailbox, Karen." I'd been ready because I used to work postal inspections, and legal traps are my game now. The mouse trap I left wasn't gore or pain, it was a tamper tape. A tiny sensor and 2 cameras, one hidden under the eave, one in the dented mailbox face. When I rewound the footage, there she was, reaching in, folding a check into her pocket, smoothing her blouse like she hadn't done a thing. She looked straight at the lens for a beat and kept going. The shock hit me like a punch, then a cold calm settled. I saved the clip, stamped the tamper tape across the envelope, and slid a note under the porch light that read, "You don't steal from my family." I watched the road until her taillights winked out, and when my phone buzzed with a text, "You'll pay for this," I typed back one line and hit send. "We'll see who pays."
I emailed the clip to the postal inspector before breakfast, and within an hour a plain car rolled up my drive. 2 agents, quiet and professional, like thunder without lightning. They watched the footage once, twice, then one of them looked up and said, "You knew to record all of this?" I shrugged. I knew she'd come back. The agent smiled like someone who reads bad people quickly. Mail theft is a federal crime. This is big. We walked down to the mailbox together. The tamper tape was still melted to the last envelope. I showed them the timestamps, the fingerprints on the flap, the way she glanced straight at the lens as if daring me. He nodded, pulled out a warrant on his phone, and said, "We'll be back with deputies." I didn't need to hear more. I watched Karen pull up in her Prius, heels clacking, 2 neighbors behind her like backup. She snarled before she even stepped out. "What are you doing with federal agents on my street?" she demanded. The agent didn't answer. He just turned on his camera and said, "Karen Holbrook, we have reason to believe you've been taking mail and committing fraud. You need to come with us." Her face went the color of old paper. For a second, she tried to scowl, to throw that old queenly voice around, but the evidence sat between us like a judge. She spat, "You'll regret this." The agent replied calmly, "You don't threaten federal agents, you answer questions." They led her to the cruiser. Board members watched, mouths open. The same people who'd praised her 2 weeks ago now whispering, "Is this real?" One of them mumbled, "She said she was protecting the community." I leaned closer and said, quiet but clear, "You don't protect a community by stealing from it." The agent tapped his pad and added, "There will be charges for theft and mail tampering. We'll file for restitution." As they drove away, Karen's supporters spread out like stunned birds. Some reached for their phones to defend her, but the footage had already started to go around the neighborhood group chat. Her smile in my mailbox, her hand in my envelopes. And the tone flipped so fast it made my head spin. I felt a little sick with relief and a little proud. Justice was never pretty, but it was real. Then my phone buzzed. An unknown number sent a photo of a county ledger entry with a name I didn't expect to see. Bowman, dated last month with a scribbled note, "Keep quiet or I call in favors." My stomach dropped. Karen might be in cuffs, but whoever had been pulling strings wasn't done.
That night, I sat on the porch with the lake wind biting through my jacket, staring at that text over and over. Bowman. The same county officer who always lost my property documents. The same guy Karen bragged about knowing personally. Now he was threatening me? I forwarded the screenshot straight to the postal agent, then called my buddy Nate, the same one who'd helped me expose the fake HOA last time. "You ever heard of Bowman working with Karen?" He was silent for a moment. "Yeah," he said finally. "He's a zoning inspector. used to push permits for her so she could claim lake access rights. Everyone knew something was off, but no one had proof. "Well," I said, "we've got proof now." By the next morning, the air was different. Neighbors who used to look away were waving, whispering, passing on bits of gossip like sparks through dry grass. The footage had gone local viral. HOA president arrested for mail theft. Every outlet wanted an interview, but I stayed quiet. I wasn't done yet. At noon, a black SUV pulled up again. Same postal agents, but this time they weren't alone. The sheriff stepped out with them. "Morning, Ben. Mind if we take another look at your footage? We're connecting dots." I handed over the external drive, and while they set up their laptop on my porch, the sheriff asked, "Did she ever mention Bowman by name?" I nodded. She said he fast-tracked her permits. The agent turned the screen toward me. "She didn't just fast-track them. Look here. 3 property lines redrawn last year, all under Bowman's digital signature. Each one cut into private land along the lake, including yours." "Meaning," I asked. "Meaning she was using fake zoning adjustments to claim parts of your shoreline. Classic land grab dressed up as HOA enforcement." I let out a low whistle. So she wasn't just stealing mail. She was stealing land. "Exactly," he said. "And Bowman signed off on all of it." The sheriff grinned. "That's enough for a joint investigation. She's facing federal charges, and he's about to join her." By evening, 2 cruisers and an unmarked sedan pulled into Bowman's driveway. I stood by my fence, watching the lights flicker across the trees. When they brought him out, handcuffed and red-faced, I didn't cheer. I just nodded once. He spotted me across the yard and yelled, "You think you've won, Carter? You're nothing without your camera." I smiled faintly. Guess it's a good thing I always keep it rolling. Karen's arrest was loud and humiliating. Bowman's was quieter, but it hit harder. The neighborhood saw it, the county saw it, and for the first time, people understood. It was never just about rules or gates or mail. It was about power. When the cars drove off and the night settled again, I picked up one last envelope from my mailbox. My daughter's letter from college. Unopened, safe. And I whispered to the dark, "You can steal a lot of things in this world, but not from a man who watches his own gate."
The morning after Bowman's arrest, the lakefront felt different. Lighter, quieter, like the air itself had stopped holding its breath. For the first time in months, I walked down my gravel path without looking over my shoulder. No Karen, no fake notices, no HOA flyers taped to my fence. Just the soft sound of water hitting the dock and the flag I'd hung by the porch flapping in the breeze. Around noon, a group of neighbors showed up, people who used to avoid eye contact whenever Karen was near. The old couple from Lot 7, the single mom from the cul-de-sac, even Greg, her husband, hands jammed deep in his pockets. "Ben," Mrs. Hill said, her voice small but steady, "we came to say thank you. You stood up when the rest of us were scared." I smiled. "I didn't do it alone. I just stopped pretending she could bully me." Greg stepped forward, eyes tired. "I told me what she was doing with the mail. I didn't know, man. She said it was for HOA records. I should have stopped her." I nodded. "It's over now. What matters is you don't let someone like her run things again." He nodded slowly, staring at the lake. The board's dissolving the HOA for good. No more fake rules, no more power games. That hit me harder than I expected. For months, I'd felt like a man standing alone against a machine, but now it was gone. Just then, my phone buzzed. A message from the postal agent. "Case closed. Restitution approved. You'll be compensated for damages. Karen pled guilty." I looked up at the others and read it out loud. A ripple of relief spread through them, followed by something like laughter. "She's really gone?" someone asked. "Yeah," I said, "this time for real." Later that evening, as the sun dipped low, I sat on the porch again. Same chair, same view, but a different kind of quiet. My daughter called from college, her voice bright. "Dad, I saw the story on the news. You're famous now." I chuckled. "Nah, just a guy who got tired of being pushed around." She paused. Grandpa would have been proud. You protected what's ours. That got me. Yeah, I said softly. I think he would have. I hung up, leaned back, and watched the sky turn gold. The mailbox creaked in the wind, but this time I didn't flinch, because I knew what it meant now. Freedom isn't about fences or rules. It's about standing your ground even when everyone tells you to step aside. And somewhere, maybe in a county cell, Karen was realizing the same thing. Too late. I took one last sip of my coffee and smiled. You can't steal peace, you have to earn it. And for the first time in a long while, the lake was mine again.